So we all know by now that Spider-Man 2 is good, but it's not great. I think it really failed to live up to the hype. At the end of the day, it has story decisions that leave you wondering, why did they even do that? You scratch your head and you wonder, okay, does this game suck? Is it mid? Is my whole existence a lie? But yeah, we're just gonna change some of the things that happen in Spider-Man 2. We're not gonna this ain't gonna be a 2 hour long video and I'm gonna sit down and be like, hey, this scene right here should have been this, Miles' arm should have went up like that. No. Okay? We're just gonna be like, hey, Insomniac should have did this. Instead of that, my voice cracked. That's great. Fucking A. I'm keeping that in. Oh, and if you don't believe me that this game was rushed, let me just play this clip for you. Alright? This clip is gold. Alright? Because it gives me pain every day knowing that this game was rushed and that these guys just kind of admitted it and nobody seems to care. So here we go.
Like, I think back, I can't believe I'm telling the story. I remember when there was one part in the project where we realized that the back half of the game was, we weren't going to make it. Like, we weren't going to hit the quality bar. And, I was like frustrated that we weren't going to get everything done. And I remember it was our Sony producers. It was Mark, Ara, Grady, Joe kind of saying, guys, we're not there every single day, but we see it. And Jeanette has confirmed it. Like, we're not going to get all the way there. And I had a really, I will say, an emotional reaction to that talk. And I remember as people were talking on the Zoom call, I was just like scribbling down how we could basically, if we cut these things, how we connect it all back.
This is what sucks about the modern day, corruption, greed. It's all in front of our faces, and we don't do anything about it. I mean, sure, we can voice our opinion, but that's not going to stop them from being greedy or being corrupt. It just won't. It doesn't. Money buys all, says all, and does all. Let's begin with the talking points, shall we? So with Miles, I love Miles in this universe, because you can see his heart, you can see his passion. The passion to protect the ones he loves. He literally puts the neighborhood and friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. What bothers me though, is they seem to make him completely OP. I can't even give you a moment where his actions kinda has consequences. Like where Miles fails and Spider-Man wins. Miles seems to be completely flawless in his decisions. And the only thing that's stressing him is the essay he has to write and this bloodlust for revenge. Despite all that though, I love the storyline with Lee. So much to the point where it made me cry, because I can sympathize with Miles, because I too have lost a parent. And speaking of Lee, there is not much I would change about this character, because he is so well written. The only thing I would change is where he goes after Miles frees him. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about our boy, Peter, and the symbiote. So Pete in this game is incredibly nerfed. I don't know how you go from fighting the Sinister Six without the symbiote suit to getting your ass absolutely handed to you by the student you are trying to teach to become Spider-Man. Not even year. I mean, what? He was Spider-Man for like maybe almost a year, and you're gonna. He's Iron Man. He whooped your ass, and he just took your suit.
Is that possible?
Well, according to Mr.
And the way they made the symbiote in this game, they made it so terrifying when Peter had it. It's almost like, why didn't they do it? Why didn't they just make Peter become Venom? That fan theory before the game was awesome. I wish they would have done that. But let's say, for this video, Peter does become Venom. Let's break this down and see how all the plots would change. So let's say, before Miles would free Lee, he would tell him, go find Harry Osborn, instead of him telling him to go find Spider-Man. They should have had Miles be more self-aware of Peter's behavior, especially after Harry called him begging for something to do, basically.
Do you need any kind of tech support? Like running the app or something?
Actually, I got a friend doing that already.
Gotcha.
He could have got closer to Harry in that moment instead of acting like the jealous girlfriend. He would have found out Peter is holding the suit from him, the suit that is supposed to keep Harry alive. They should have had Miles visit Harry at that moment instead of his father's grave, to build a relationship with Harry and be back into the thick of it. So when Lee goes to Oscorp, he'll find Harry, explain Miles is still in trouble, and he said to find you. He must trust you, And then Harry could say something like, or maybe he trusts Dr. Connors. And Dr. Connors is another character that should have been involved in the story just a little bit more. Let me explain. Because after Peter and Lizard fight, Dr. Connors noticed how the symbiote attached on to Spider-Man, realizing that, oh, it shows you and it has a mind of its own, basically, that it's unpredictable. So why wasn't Dr. Connors there for Harry a lot more? You know, consulting him, warning him about Peter, and just like really harshing that, hey, we need to get this off of him. So having Dr. Connors there makes a lot of sense. So with Harry, Dr. Connors, and Lee, they are all at Oscorp discussing next moves. But just as they are doing that, Spider-Man breaks in. And keep in mind, Lee doesn't know that he could overpower the symbiote at this moment. So Peter grabs Lee and says, "Where is Miles?" And just getting more noticeably scary and turning more and more like Venom. And then once Lee gives Miles' location, Peter then throws him against the wall, knocking him out, and goes and tries to save Miles. Then we play out the Kraven fight scene with Peter, and then when Miles comes in for the boss fight, instead of Miles beating Peter, the symbiote overpowers Peter and turns him into Venom, defeating Miles. And then Venom would grab Kraven and finish what he started, enjoying his evening snack. After that, he would proceed to infect the city. And once Miles wakes up, well, first he'd probably see a dead Kraven. But he would go back, meet up with Harry, Lee, and Dr. Connors, and talk their next move over. And then as that happens, symbiotes break in looking for Harry, screaming, "Heal the world, heal the world," and they, just go with me, and they grab Harry and begin to infect him. Now in that moment, Miles and Lee are there, and Lee uses his power to scare off some of the symbiote, and then Miles is just like, "Oh damn, do that again," you know, and then eventually they do that scene with Harry instead of Peter, thus making Harry anti-Venom. And meanwhile, while this is happening, Peter is at MJ's house confronting her on the stories that she has been making about Peter's behavior. So that is what MJ has been doing this whole time. I haven't left MJ out, so I'm good. I'm glad I remembered her. But I would like to think she would do like a cool stealth section where we like try to sneak off and then like, you know, text Miles and be like, "Hey, yo, homie, I need help. Peter gonna kill me." Then Miles would see that text, Harry and Miles would rush to save MJ and then fight Venom throughout the city, and then they get the symbiote off him by fighting him at the church, using the bell, all kinds of sounds, explosions, destructions, everything. Just the stuff that we should have got. We should have fought Venom through the city and not some gooey mess. Peter then gets the symbiote off him, retires, rethinks over, maybe goes to a shrink. Harry is cured and now anti-Venom, and Miles becomes the main Spider-Man for now. Alright, so what did you guys think? I mean, there's so many decisions that Insomniac could have done, like, instead of the route that they went down, you know? I don't blame Insomniac at all. I blame the higher-ups for not giving them enough time. I don't know why the 2023 release had to be just so crunched. Like, it had to be right then and there. Like, it was a MCU deadline. I don't know if they were trying to still get, you know, because Across the Spider-Verse came out that summer, so I don't know if they were still trying to get the hype from that or whatever, but I think you delay a game, that still builds up hype, because people are like, okay, they really are caring about this now. But that was my 2 cents on all of it. Let me know down below, share your thoughts, check out my Patreon, all that stuff, yeah, good time.